All right, well, the next time you buy a steak at the grocery store, you might be surprised by the price tag. Prices for beef have jumped nearly 20% over the last year. On Monday, President Biden blamed large meat packing companies for the high costs that we're seeing.
Capitalism without competition isn't capitalism, it's exploitation. That's what we're seeing in meat and poultry and those industries now. Small, independent farmers and ranchers are being driven out of business, sometimes businesses that have been around for generations.
All right, for some context here, let's bring in Bill Bullard, CEO of RCAF USA. Good morning, sir. Beef prices jumped more than 20% compared to the same time last year. Why?
Well, we once had lots of packing plants scattered all over across the United States, but then our federal regulators did not enforce our antitrust laws. So the largest packers gobbled up all the smaller packers. We now have 4 packers controlling 85% of the fed cattle market. They have purged competition from the entire live cattle and beef supply chain, and they've threatened our national food security, as we've seen during the pandemic. So the reason is there is a complete disconnect between the value of beef that consumers buy at the grocery store and the price that cattle producers, America's cattle farmers and ranchers, receive in the marketplace. There's no longer a relationship. In fact, for the past several years, we've seen beef prices skyrocketing and consumers paying super inflated prices for beef. At the same time, cattle producers have been experiencing extremely depressed prices for their cattle. The system is fundamentally broke. It's broke because of neglect for decades by our regulators, and we're pleased now the Biden administration is finally focusing on this serious problem.
So speaking of President Biden, he said yesterday that he's devoting $1 billion from the American Rescue Plan to drive down prices and boost competition in the meat industry. So what are your thoughts on that? Is this going to be enough?
Certainly not, because we once had many packing plants, but we did not enforce our antitrust laws and keep the conduct of the packers in check. So unless they first restore competition to the marketplace itself, and if they did, of course, entrepreneurialism would cause new packing plants to develop. Unless they fix the lack of competition by simply placing new packing plants into the industry like we had a few decades ago, we have not solved the problem. We just extended the problem going forward. The government needs to hold the packers accountable for having eliminated competition in the cattle supply chain.
Bill, how do they then restore competition?
Well, the first thing they do is they prevent all of the anti-competitive conduct. We filed a lawsuit against the packers in 2019, alleging that the 4 largest packers have conspired in order to artificially depress cattle prices while at the same time inflating beef prices. We have got to stop the monopolistic conduct in the marketplace. And while we are impressed with the Biden administration's plan moving forward, it's a long-term plan. It does not hold the packers accountable for the harm that they have wrought upon this industry for the past 7 years. We've lost 75% of our feedlots. We've lost over 500,000 American cattle farmers and ranchers just in the past few decades. Wow. Our industry is in a serious crisis. And what Congress is doing right now and what the administration is doing is simply not enough.
All right, Bill Bullard, CEO of RCAF USA. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a good one.
Thank you.